You are exhausting yourself fighting enemies that barely know what they are doing. Every late-night overthinking session, every replayed conversation, every attempt to decode hidden motives comes from one dangerous assumption: that the people who hurt you are masterminds, that your toxic coworker is some calculating strategist, that your manipulative ex planned every emotional wound with surgical precision, that the people sabotaging your life are sitting in dark rooms plotting your downfall like movie villains. But most of the time, that is fantasy. There is a principle called Hanlon's razor. Never attribute to malice what can adequately be explained by stupidity. And once you truly understand this, your entire perception of conflict changes, because the brutal truth is, most people are not evil geniuses. They are impulsive, lazy, emotionally immature, short-sighted, self-centered. They are not 10 steps ahead of you. They are barely thinking at all. The co-worker who ruined your project probably did not wake up with a detailed master plan to destroy your career. They were careless, disorganized, incompetent, maybe insecure, maybe selfish, but not a criminal mastermind. The friend who betrayed your trust, probably not some psychological manipulator playing 4D chess. More likely, they lacked discipline, lacked character, lacked emotional control. People often hurt others not because they are powerful, but because they are weak. And weak people create chaos everywhere they go. But your mind keeps upgrading them into supervillains. Why? Because believing someone intentionally targeted you feels more logical than accepting randomness, incompetence, and human stupidity. Your brain wants patterns. It wants meaning. It wants to believe there is a coherent reason behind the pain. So you create narratives. You start imagining hidden motives behind every expression, every delay, every text message, every awkward interaction. You turn ordinary dysfunction into conspiracy, and slowly you begin living in psychological warfare against enemies that barely even understand themselves. That is what drains your energy, not them, your interpretation of them. Because once you believe someone is a genius predator, you grant them power over your nervous system. You become hyper-vigilant, obsessive, paranoid. You rehearse imaginary arguments in the shower. You analyze tone changes like a detective. You search for hidden attacks in ordinary conversations. Your body stays in survival mode. And the cruel irony is, the person you fear is usually too distracted scrolling social media, too emotionally undisciplined, or too intellectually shallow to even maintain a sophisticated agenda against you. You are giving clown behavior the psychological weight of organized warfare, and that realization is liberating, because when you finally see certain people clearly, the fear disappears. Think about it carefully. A truly dangerous person is usually disciplined, calm, strategic, patient, controlled. Real predators do not create loud chaos everywhere they go. They move carefully, quietly, efficiently. But most toxic people, they are emotional toddlers with adult bodies, reactive, impulsive, predictable. They gossip because they are insecure. They lie because telling the truth requires courage. They manipulate because they cannot communicate honestly. They sabotage because they lack the competence to compete fairly. That is not genius. That is weakness wearing a mask. And once you recognize that, you stop trembling around them. You stop overestimating them. You stop wasting precious mental energy constructing giant theories around people who can barely organize their own lives. Because here is another uncomfortable truth. Some people are not plotting against you. They are simply operating at such a low level of awareness that destruction follows them naturally, like a drunk driver crashing into everything around them. Not because they strategically targeted a specific car, but because they are reckless. And reckless people create collateral damage. Unfortunately, when you are emotionally intelligent, you tend to overestimate others. You assume they think deeply because you do. You assume they analyze consequences because you do. You assume they possess self-awareness because you do. But many people move through life almost entirely driven by impulse, ego, jealousy, convenience, immediate gratification. That is it. No master strategy, no hidden empire, no sophisticated operation, just emotional chaos. And once you understand this, you stop personalizing everything. You realize not every betrayal was a calculated assassination. Sometimes people disappoint you simply because they lack the capacity to be better. That does not excuse their behavior, but it changes your emotional response. Because anger fades faster when you stop expecting intelligence from foolish people. You stop demanding depth from shallow minds. And most importantly, you stop feeding them importance. One of the biggest psychological traps in life is accidentally worshipping your enemies, not with admiration, but with attention. The more mental space someone occupies, the more power they have over your inner world. Some people spend years mentally chained to toxic individuals who barely deserve 2 minutes of thought. They build entire emotional universes around people who are fundamentally mediocre. Do not do that. Do not turn ordinary dysfunction into mythology. Not everyone is a hidden demon. Some people are simply careless fools creating damage through ignorance and selfishness. And once you see that clearly, their intimidation evaporates. But this does not mean you become naive. This is important because true predators do exist. There are disciplined manipulators in the world. There are highly intelligent narcissists. There are dangerous opportunists. There are people capable of calculated destruction, but they are rare. And if you waste all your psychological ammunition fighting imaginary masterminds, you will not recognize the real threat when it appears. That is why emotional discipline matters. You must learn the difference between genuine danger and ordinary human incompetence. One deserves strategic caution, the other deserves emotional detachment, not obsession, not paranoia, detachment. Because peace begins the moment you stop assuming every negative experience is evidence of some grand, coordinated attack against your existence. Sometimes people are just foolish. Sometimes they are selfish. Sometimes they are emotionally weak. And sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is stop trying to decode them entirely. No more endless analysis, no more conspiracy building, no more giving average people legendary status in your mind. See them accurately. Nothing more, nothing less. Because clarity is power, And one of the clearest signs of maturity is realizing that most chaos in life is not created by evil masterminds. It is created by ordinary, undisciplined people stumbling through existence without self-awareness. Once you accept that, your mind becomes quieter, your fear becomes smaller, and your energy returns to where it belongs, building your own future instead of psychologically battling ghosts.